And welcome back to the Engage 8 podcast. Here, joined on a lovely Monday night after a great Saturday of college football. Definitely one of the best, if not the best weekend that me and Robby get to talk about, get to give our thoughts and opinions on. Robby, what was your favorite game on Saturday? I'll ask you that.
Oh my gosh, that's tough, man. I would say the favorite game has got to be. I loved watching the Oklahoma State Oklahoma game. I thought, I'm gonna roll with that game. I loved the late night Fafita pick. It clinched that I once again kept the streak alive, got an upset pick done. But Oklahoma State is such a fun team to watch. I think
Yeah.
Ali Gordon is more entertaining than I even saw on his highlight reel. Watching that in person, watching that whole offense truly just revolve around him, it's special, man. I wish that team hadn't messed up so early so that they could possibly be a team that, we see in this playoff, even though I don't know how they'd survive in terms of, you know, consistency wise, but we'll
Yeah,
get into that.
definitely my favorite game was the Kansas State Texas
Mm.
game. I really enjoyed watching that game, especially with two of the best commentators in college football as well.
Dude, I swear, man, you could put those guys on a MAC game. You could put those guys on the Iowa Northwestern game. I'd watch, be entertained, and not complain 1 second. Gus and Joel, if you ever
I don't know
somehow
about
get a hold
Iowa.
of the Engage 8 podcast, just know me and Noah, man, no bigger fans.
Yeah. Okay. Let's jump into the first game on the agenda. LSU, Alabama. The final score was 42-28. Robby, what were your takeaways from the game?
My takeaway is exactly this. The reason why it was so important for this Alabama team to just survive and advance early on in the season was for the small chance that they got hot at the right time. In my opinion, this is one of those very few teams in the country that you just don't want to play right now. They are the hottest team, in my opinion. Yeah, I'd say they're the hottest team in the country. And this is without established superstars, which I don't know if we ever actually see that, because if you look at it in terms of breakdown of the game, we had a quarterback who was the leading rusher on both sides. Jaden Daniels and Milroe both ran for over 140 yards, respectively, each throwing actually around the same stats, too. I believe Milroe threw for like 220, and
They actually had
Jaden Daniels was
they had the same passing
was it
yardage.
was it 216? Was that
It
the
was
number?
it was 219. I have it pulled up.
19. Oh, okay. Well, now I can't. Now I'm uncredible. I'm just kidding. But anyways, so both guys kind of the same tape, but where you would have thought that LSU would have separated themselves is the fact that Malik Neighbors went for 170 in this game and 2 touchdowns. And Alabama really didn't have that established receiver. Now you could argue, hey, maybe it was the fact that Jaden Daniels got popped in the chin by Dallas Turner and comes out of the game. I honestly don't think that. I think the story of this Alabama team, and it has been the whole season, we're just starting to now see it be really established playing these better teams like LSU, is that this defense is truly remarkable. I said it coming in. I talked to a lot of people who asked, like, all right, what do you think the stories for Alabama this year? No Bryce Young, no whatever. I said, I think this is going to be one of the better defenses that Alabama's had. Not that in terms of superstar wise, even though guys like Kool-Aid McKinstry,
Yeah, and
their
if you
secondary in
if you listen to
general,
us early in
Dallas.
this season too, like the Robbie is specifically on the record talking about this Alabama defense and
Yeah,
saying that they could be in the college football playoff.
for sure. And I think that that's what propels them. And I'll go back to what I just said earlier on. The fact that they survived in advance and now they're sitting here with one loss, probably the best loss in the country besides Oregon, and they had a chance to, and I say that word and emphasize it, a chance to play in the college football playoff, because the team we'll talk about in just a few moments, Georgia, is going to stand in the way of them doing that. And I don't know how this team stacks up, because yes, LSU is a big monster to get past, and they did it, but Georgia's a different monster because that team's more complete than arguably anybody.
Yeah, I mean the only team you'd argue Georgia is better than is what, Michigan, or
Yeah,
Georgia's like Michigan is
rivals with in
arguably
terms of in completeness.
Yeah. No, for sure. I really like this game, to be honest. I thought the back and forth early in the first half,
Oh
you
yeah,
know, just constantly. Jayden Daniels, making a play. Jalen Milroe making plays with his legs. The only thing that pissed me off with Jalen Milroe is Isaiah Bond was wide open. And I mean, I'm pretty sure they ended up rushing it in anyways. But regardless, Isaiah Bond was wide open on the side. And Jalen Milroe is rolling out. He's kind of throwing a crossbody ball, and it
Yeah.
just completely misses the mark. Like
Yeah, completely.
like if they don't score on that drive or only get a field goal, like that could have been a huge momentum shifter. But I'm pretty sure Jace McClellan had that insane like escape run
Yeah, he did.
outside though. Yeah. So
But
as you know.
it's interesting when you compare these two quarterbacks, is they had very similar stats, but I think that tells two different stories. Jalen Milroe really is not an established passer at all. He's a
No,
good
and
runner. He's arguably just a running back. He's kind of the
and I
stereotype that you
mean
get Lamar. But Jaden Daniels,
LSU did a really good job on taking away his strength, and that's something that almost is a good thing for Jalen Milroe. Because yeah, he didn't throw for any touchdowns, but the Alabama offense was still able to be successful with taking away arguably his best trait of his game, which is his deep ball. I'm pretty
yeah.
sure what I heard is he was 1 for 7 on passes past 15 yards plus,
Yeah, and
and
you commented on it last episode. Jalen Milroe completes 60% of passes when it's considered a deep ball.
yeah, like
Guys, that's unheard of. The
right,
highest
and
completion percentage in the country, I believe, is high 60s. This guy's completing
I
60.
think Shador was at 70, but he's also been not playing good recently. Well, not good, but yeah, I don't even want to talk about
It's
Colorado to
just team.
begin with.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
not talking about that.
Colorado is not a relevant team anymore. But no,
Nope.
Alabama, I thought they played really well. I thought that Jalen Milroe, it showed that he can adapt and he can find other ways to be useful when his best trait is taken away. That's what kind of separates from a good player to an elite player. And I think Jalen Milroe, I'm not calling him an elite quarterback. I'm calling him an elite athlete and an elite leader. And that's something that I really like to see from Jalen Milroe because, you know, month and a half ago, we didn't even know this guy was going to be starting for the team after one loss. And he's
Right.
battled all the adversity in the world. Didn't even start for a game against the South Florida team that game was ugly. And obviously his impact on the field was missed. But I think he's really starting to hone in on his strengths, what they need to do to win. And Jalen Milroe, he might not be the most talented guy, might not be a first round pick, but he's a winner and he cares about winning. And that's something that's very important, especially to have a successful team. And I mean, he's still talented. No one's disagreeing on that. Like, there's a possibility. I mean, Malik Cunningham got drafted. Like, there's athletic quarterbacks that get drafted later because on the potential or being used somewhere else. I was very impressed with Jayden Daniels and how he played though before he got knocked down.
Off air, we actually just to touch on the Milroe thing one more time about getting drafted, right? We were kind of trying to think of a comparison. We threw the name Lamar in there, but then we're like, yeah, but Lamar can pass, right? The name we actually came up with as the most accurate comparison was Terrell Pryor. And it's interesting you say that athletes can get drafted and still be used in the NFL because Terrell Pryor to actually finish his career as a wide receiver.
Yeah. I mean, even guys in college,
Milroe could end up being one of those guys.
Braxton Miller was a very, talented quarterback for Ohio State. And then all of a sudden he's switched to receiver when he gets to the league. So
he actually played a little bit of receiver.
Yeah, but JT Barrett was good too. And I think they still won a national championship without on their third string quarterback, Cardale Jones. Dude, that story of him like beating the crap out of that kid in the hospital, it makes me crack up every single time I see it on NCAA football 14 when he uses himself.
He uses himself and he wins like 96 to something, whatever the score was.
Yeah, but no, I was very
competitive nature.
Yeah, I honestly thought I forgot how athletic Jayden Daniels is because he's been more used for his arm this year, surprisingly, than in open field and with his legs. And he took off a little bit more. And there was a bunch of big runs, his longest being 40 yards. And like, I forget how twitchy and like, elusive and dangerous he is in an open field. So that's definitely going to be something to watch the rest of the season. People are saying that he's out of the Heisman. I don't know if he could still put it. I mean,
award, I get it, man. You got to be on a good football team. I understand that, but Lamar won the Heisman on Louisville. Like,
Yeah.
this kid's putting up video game numbers, guys. He just ran for 150. I get it, he only threw for 219, but, like, running for
I
150
mean, still
against
on
this
9 yards per
Bama.
attempt on 97 QBRs, like,
Exactly,
so,
exactly, and this
like,
is against,
efficient.
once again, a legit defense on the biggest stage at Bryant-Denny. Like, come on, that's Heisman level stuff. I get it. His team isn't complete enough to win the game, but you can't blame a guy's defense for his
I mean, they
reason not
they
to be
were
in
the
the
number
Heisman
1,
convo.
offense scoring-wise coming into this game, and that's largely due because of Jaden Daniels. Like, this kid
Absolutely. Him and the combination of Malik Neighbors, and I'm sorry, but Malik Neighbors just elevates how good he already was. Don't
yeah,
don't
and
get me the whole he's only good because of Malik Neighbors.
no,
Guys,
Malik
if you
Neighbors
watch
is
his
one of
tape
the
at
best
Arizona
receiver.
State,
Yeah.
like, he was just as athletic. It's just now that he has the offensive scheme to be complete.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Thomas, he got taken away in this game too. And Malik Neighbors isn't the best contested catcher, and that's something that's definitely going to get dinked on when he, decides to go to the NFL draft. Scouts are going to be like, "Oh, he's only good at creating separation," but he's one of the best receivers at creating separation in the country. So,
But arguably the best player in the NFL right now is Tyreek Hill, who's the greatest separator
yeah,
guy getting separation in the league. So this league is built for him. Like, he will be just fine. Malik
yeah,
Neighbors is gonna have a long career in football, man. Long
yeah. I
career.
was I was excited to see Harold Perkins have a lot of success in this game too,
Yeah.
defensively, because he's been a guy that just has not been able to get it going this year.
No, and nobody on that defense really has, to be honest. So to see a guy like that who has been a big name on mock drafts get success, especially against
I mean,
this
he's
team,
not
has
even
been really
drafted.
good.
He's not even draftable till next year too, which is the crazy thing.
Right. And when I say mock drafts, like, I'm talking 2025 boards that
Yeah,
they already come out with for whatever reason.
he's got big
But
Micah Parson vibes.
yes, that's
Mike,
such a comparable name too. Just a guy
uh,
who knows every position. Not only has he played him, but he knows them well. And yeah,
yeah.
he gets put in the right defensive scheme, man. He's an athletic freak that we could see really pop off.
Yeah, the one thing I'm really surprised is like, but I think both teams also did a really good job of down and distance too. Like there was
Mhm.
no like tackles for loss really or sacks. I mean, there was 3 total sacks in the game and
Right.
4 total tackles for loss. So,
Right. Like, I
uh,
think that deserves a lot of credit to LSU's offensive line, especially. This is a Joe Moore Award finalist for this year. And I believe Alabama's offensive line doesn't get the
they've
credit they deserve.
improved. They were very, against Texas, they just allowed pressure constantly. I mean, Texas is a team that's got uber talented defensive linemen like
Yeah.
Trevontae Sweat, Burke,
So
Murphy.
good.
Like, dude, those guys generated pressure all day on Kansas State. But like this Alabama like offensive line has significant like I saw improvements watching them throughout the season. And LSU, I mean, not the greatest defense, honestly, and especially but, like, their front and their linebackers, like, they do generate pressure too, so
Absolutely.
it's
They're
very
on an
nice.
exponential rise, man. I'm telling you, this is the team that you do not want to step in front of right now. And we'll see how Georgia handles that. But in my opinion,
I'd like
they
to
won't
see
be
a
a problem.
defense I'd like to see them face a more, I guess the defense wasn't even bad for LSU, but it wasn't good. I don't know. I'd like to see them play, like, a legit defense, like, legit, like,
I think
top
we're going to get to see
15,
that. We're going to get to
which
see that in the
well,
SEC
yeah,
championship, which is going to decide is
no,
ultimately
yeah,
going to decide their fate.
yeah, it will. All right, next order of business. Let's get into the Bedlam, the last Bedlam scheduled. We'll probably see more because I bet Oklahoma, especially athletic director and boosters, are going to be very jealous of what happened, and they're going to want some revenge. But
Absolutely.
shout out to Oklahoma State, man. One of the you said Alabama's the hottest team in the country. I think it's this Cowboys team. They are
Very well could be.
riding very high right now. You get a victory at home against the Sooners. And while, yes, there was a controversial call that a lot of people want to discuss back and forth, I still think Oklahoma State was the better football team in this game.
Absolutely. Alan Bowman played mistake-free football, throwing for 334 yards. Not that Dylan Gabriel, put up any slap of numbers. He actually had more
No,
passing
Dylan Gabriel
yards.
played, yeah, he played
The
solid.
pick definitely was not what
Oh,
he what he would have wanted. But man, the credit goes to Mr. Ali Gordon. That kid, I love watching him, man. I can't wait to watch that guy on Sundays. He's just going to be one of those players that I will always be checking up on because he's been a special performer in college football. And
Right. And I mean, the workload that he gets too is absolutely absurd. 33 touches plus a reception in this game is absolutely absurd. Like
this
that is
workload reminds me of what Blake Corum got last year. I believe Blake Corum averaged over 25 carries a game up until he got hurt against Illinois. That
which
is the
apparently they
workload.
signed still too, by the way. Jesus. I don't know. This
What is going See, listen, not to get on a side note here, but the only thing I have to say is I'm so glad that all of this is coming out, that we're finding out that everyone's sign stealing, because maybe it'll finally let the NCAA know that we need to take away the ability to even have signs by putting these, or I guess just
radio
telecommuters,
yeah.
telecommuters in the helmets, like everyone else in football does. Literally, they have those in high school, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
There is
the
high
high
school
yeah.
quarterbacks who have mics in their ear. Why don't we have it in college football? The world may never know.
Well, I think I discussed it. I don't know if I discussed this on or off the record, but from what I heard is when head coaches are all in the meeting with the NCAA, they all say they want radio comms and everything, right? And then when they go talk to their athletic director, and when the athletic directors meet with the NCAA or whatever committee runs, this, they tell them, "Oh no, we don't want that because we all sign steal." And now
Literally,
when
it's the only sport where it happens. It's the only level of
level
the
of
sport where it
yeah.
happens.
I mean, there's probably some other levels in the
Well,
lower levels of high school and everything like
absolutely.
that, but
Absolutely.
like on a national stage, big time, that generates revenue. Like, yeah, this is the only level that it really happens at. So,
For sure.
but back to this game. I mean,
Mhm.
if you're Oklahoma, like, I mean, you're Big 12, and we'll get it to the conference championship outlook, but if you're Oklahoma, I mean, it's an improvement from last year, man. Like this team lost almost everything when Lincoln Riley left, and like Deion Sanders, he took his Louis with him, and I mean, granted, was it all that on the defensive side? No, and we'll talk about Alex Grinch and his firing or was he fired or does he? I don't know. I
Who
really
the heck
didn't.
knows? Because Connor Stallions apparently wasn't fired and he resigned, but the media is going to report that he's fired so they get clicks. So Alex Grinch, we never may know what actually happened until a few days from now. But
Yeah.
as of right now, I think it's being reported that he was fired.
Okay. I mean, I would assume he was fired because I mean he is let's say he doesn't fit the criteria for
So
a good defensive
it's
coordinator.
interesting. I saw a stat actually that Iowa has given up less points, and I don't quote me. I believe it was the last 8 years compared to the last 2 years that Alex Grinch has at USC. That is
Okay, but Iowa literally plays like that to now. I don't know. I'll discuss my opinion on that later. But Oklahoma State, like great victory for them. They have a very good shot of making the Big 12 title game now. And if they don't have that loss to South Alabama, like this team would be arguably in the top 10, but
mhm.
that's a very bad loss. But I mean, they're on a 5-game winning streak now. You got wins over Kansas, Kansas State, Oklahoma. Like those are all very solid wins. You finish off the season with 3 newcomers in UCF, Houston, and BYU. Like that UCF game can be tough because those guys play hard. But I'm liking a Cowboys Longhorns matchup in the Big 12 for the Big 12 title.
Me too. And not to, get ahead of myself, because like we did say, we will be doing a conference championship outlook. But it's going, as much as I would love to see the Cowboys do end up winning this conference, it would be the reason why there is not a Big 12 participant in the college football playoff this year. But at the
I
same
mean,
time,
I don't know.
if that has to be
I mean,
sacrificed for an Oklahoma State conference championship, I'm all for it. Because like you said, I'm loving this underdog
yeah,
story.
and I
This is a
mean, Oklahoma and Texas are both leaving too, so it'd be really like, what if a Big 12, a team staying in the Big 12 beats both the teams leaving for the SEC?
It's a great
That
story. It adds
that
on to the storyline, which we love because that's what we're here for, man. We're here to report the juicy stuff.
Yeah, and this Oklahoma State team's very good. Like, I'm excited to see how they finish out the season, and
Absolutely.
hopefully we're seeing them in Dallas, which
Absolutely.
that's the only what I mean. Technically, it's Arlington, but that's the only place Texas has lost this year. So watch out.
We shall see. We shall see.
All right, moving on to the next order of business: Missouri, Georgia. This game was very interesting for me to watch. Okay, so when I wrote down like a specific amount of notes on these when I first when it was Sunday morning, I was like, okay, I want to write down my thoughts and look at because I don't really look at the box scores the night of the game. I typically relook at them tomorrow. What was the differences and everything, because I think eye test matters more than anything else. And
absolutely,
I think that's what a lot of people should base their rankings off of. But I don't think I just choose to believe that AP voters, like 50% of them, don't even
no, they look at box scores, man. I'll be the first to admit that the 334 yards that JJ McCarthy put up this weekend, in terms of eye test, he actually did not look so great, but the numbers would say otherwise.
Yeah, and that's what matters when people decide these things. And then when these 3 and 4 seed teams that haven't looked great eye test wise end up in the college football playoff, cough cough, Oklahoma, for the past decade that the college football playoff has been around, they get absolutely exposed because it's all box score. And this eye test, whatever. I'm not even in the mood to get into that.
Let's use this. This is
yes, obviously
McConkey stats. He didn't even go for 100, guys. Honestly, though, that doesn't speak volumes to
he was the best player. Yeah, he was the best player on the field. All right, so here's what I wrote down. When you look at the comparison in yards, this game was relatively even between both teams. 363 for Mizzou, 385 for UGA. This game was won because Georgia got the edge when they were up 24-13 and kind of looked superior with Mizzou's at that point, played a really good football game. The only thing that really stood out to me from Mizzou was this receiving core, but Brady Cook slowed down significantly once it got to the fourth quarter. He threw 2 interceptions that were very crucial. That one in Nazir Stackhouse, that's just a very heads up play to begin with, which credit to the Georgia defense on that one. But the second one he threw, I get it. You have to force it, but it's a very inaccurate ball. And you could have probably took a more, I guess,
just calculated approach, in my opinion. Yeah. Just like you just said,
but
you got to just live or die with the situation.
Yeah. And he played fine, but I still don't think he's a good QB. I don't think he elevates this team to anything more. And I think if there was someone else playing for this team, or if they got a transfer QB in the offseason to put with,
Jackson Rice, probably.
Yeah. Or whoever, really, to be honest.
No, truthfully, this is a perfect example of a receiver elevating a quarterback and making him average to just, I would call it good. Luther Burden makes this kid
Weiss and Cooper looked good in this game too. It wasn't just Burden.
Burden's just been doing it all year.
Yeah, Burden's the leader, so he's obviously going to get the most credit. But
but Weiss Jr.
The Engage podcast doesn't like to just credit the leaders. Okay, we like to give everyone.
Absolutely, because Theo Weiss Jr. got to put on national display that he's here too.
Yeah,
and that it's a complete receiving core over there in Missouri.
But my thoughts that I wrote down, I said, without this receiving core, he'd look more ordinary than he already is. This is probably arguably a top 10 receiving core in the nation. I think that's very agreed upon. People might have him in the top 3. People might have him towards 9. It's really your own rankings. And I can't really say anything otherwise other than I give my reasons. But anyways, I said the players that stood out to me on Georgia were Ladd McConkey, Lassiter, and Jalen Walker. I thought Lassiter played really well in coverage in this game and was making plays when it really mattered. There's just times where this kid's been starting for this team or playing for this team the last couple of years, and he's been very impressive. And he's going to be a guy that plays on Sundays.
Absolutely. And one more guy I'll just shout out in Missouri because he's been tearing it up all season. It is Cody Schrader.
Yeah, Cody Schrader, The level of dominance that Missouri was able to run with is something that I did not personally expect. Like,
No, and
that
I
was
think that that is going to be a thing that is highlighted when a lot of teams go back and watch the tape on Georgia preparing for a college football playoff matchup, preparing for a conference championship matchup, is that there is a formula that you can dominate with on terms of the run game against this Georgia defense, and Missouri exploited it perfectly. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily Cody Schrader, but it's the way that the run that they
was
set up the run
designed.
and
Yeah.
used it. It was beautiful. Cody Schrader, that does not take away from the fact that this kid's
Oh, no,
about to
I mean, he was
approach a thousand
yeah.
yards. This kid's good, but the formula was beautiful by the
And I mean,
Missouri
if they
offensive
got a
coordinators.
matchup next week, which if Ole Miss would like to play in a big game and, like, not really play really close with opponents, because they have the talent not to, like, be, a top 5 team in my opinion, like, looking at
You
this
talking Ole
roster.
Miss?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, if they can kinda take I think Missouri and Ole Miss are pretty comparable, at least offensively speaking.
Mhm.
If they can
Absolutely.
kinda take a play out of their playbook. Well, see, obviously, Georgia's gonna make adjustments, but I'm just saying, like, you have a very special running back in Quidshawn Judkins, who's kind of been slow all year. He played good on Saturday.
He's getting hot though. I think this kid's gonna
We
he's
might
gonna
see a
show
breakout,
up.
yeah, we might see a breakout game from him. But no,
Right.
I think Georgia should be number 1 in the college football playoff rankings on Tuesday, which we will react to on Wednesday. So make sure
Yes,
you stay
sir.
tuned. But
Absolutely.
no, I mean, Georgia didn't really seem like too special or look like, do anything crazy, and they still won by 2 scores against a good football team. Like,
Yeah.
this game was won in the turnover battle, like, if you look at it, because I mean, even amount of yards, right? But
Right.
Georgia just they play football really well, man, and it's a culture thing down there. And Kirby Smart, like, these guys are celebrating in the locker room after a great win too, which is something great to see. Like, they're still celebrating each game, like, week at a time. They're not overlooking anyone. They're not just like, oh, we handle business and, like, this is what we're supposed to do. Like, they're celebrating. Like,
Right.
that's such a great thing.
That's my favorite part about these great teams is that, like you just said, it's about going 1-0 every single week. And it's not about, like, yes, you must have the big end goal in mind, and that is to hoist the national championship trophy by the end of this thing.
Right,
But
but I
being
mean,
able to not
when
overlook and
you
being
gotta
able to keep things
understand,
in
and,
front of
this is
you.
kinda what you're taught as, like, when you're growing up or whatever, set your big goal, but set up small goals on the way to reach that big goal. It's the little things are key, and anyone with any great coach, any great mentor, any great, superior in your life will tell you that the little things are, like, what matters. Like, if you can't do the
Right.
little things right, you're not gonna be able to do the big
Right.
things.
I grew up playing baseball my whole life and loving baseball, played football too, but in baseball, it's such a long season now. Obviously, at the lower levels, it's not 162 games, but it's 40, 50 games. I played it in college. It was 40 to 50 games in college. And yes, winning a conference championship is huge. Winning a national championship is huge. But the way the coaches break down the season for you so that you're not getting so overwhelmed and looking so far ahead, months and months ahead, is yeah, just win that series, right? Like, you got a 3-game series. That's mainly how it's played. Win your series. It's the same thing with this. Just go 1-0 every single week. A lot of great coaches reference that goal that they give to their team every single week.
Yeah.
George is one of the best at doing it. They
I
really
mean, and you can tell when, like, coaches are, like, looking at the big picture and something fails, they look very panicky and very like, "Oh," like, I think that's what Jimbo Fisher's been, doing at
right.
Texas A&M,
I
so
think Missouri did it this week. They're literally in this game with the number one team in the country, an opportunity to shock the world. And it's almost like they let the moment get too big. And
yeah.
more specifically, I think Brady Cook let the moment get too big, and he started forcing the ball and making uncalculated risks that ultimately led to his team losing this game by 9 and just once again being a team that falls short. Oh,
Oh, think Robby, you there? Having a technical issue, but anyways, let's see if he gets back and reloaded for us because I have no idea where he went. I think the George or the Missouri administrators or whatever internet administration there is.
We're back.
Okay, all right. Robbie's back. I told him that Missouri did not like you talking crap in the
No. They actually just hacked into my internet and just
the IT from Missouri is not very happy with Robbie. But anyway,
they just stole my IP. Not my signs, my IP.
Yeah,
there you go.
There's a bunch of stealing going on in the world.
We're all thieves. In the college football world, you are a thief. Actually, you're slightly successful.
Yeah.
I love memeing everything right now because it's truly just comical what is going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's just how we get. If you can't have a humor about it, then
no.
I mean, it says a lot. It says
I got these two hats sitting above me, and I should be getting memed right now, but I can have a humor about it. We steal signs.
Yeah, I mean,
we're good at it.
Yeah.
You got to be good at something, right? And
it's like Kevin Durant. If you can't beat him, join him in stealing signs, right?
Exactly. Bill Belichick, you would argue, his famous quote is, "If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying," right?
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. No, but overall, Georgia should just. I think my final takeaway is Georgia should be the number 1 team.
Georgia's the best team in the country.
Yeah,
I think they proved it. This team is now battle tested.
Now, after both the results next Saturday, opinion might change.
We will have a number. I truly think after next Saturday, there will be a clear-cut number 1. I think there's one right now because there's 2 other teams that aren't as battle tested or aren't as proven. You could argue that Ohio State getting the win over Penn State makes them more legit of a number 1 contender than Michigan, which is maybe why they got the number 1 spot.
Yeah, but that Notre Dame win looks worse now too because
Yep. That's what I'm saying.
You gotta buy the stock. I own it.
This guy.
I should have pulled out.
This guy.
Should have pulled up that audio clip. Oh man.
You really should have.
Dude, coaches have been crazy on the sideline reports.
I love it.
Yeah.
We're seeing more. We're seeing more true character of these guys.
No, it's starting.
And I think it's because of just how absolutely maniac the media has been, and it's just getting under these guys' skin. I think I think it makes the product better, personally. As a guy who's in media, it's like, this is what I want.
Yeah,
I always say when I'm on the sideline holding a camera at a high school football game or at a college football game, I want you to point my face and show your true emotion and character about how you feel about the moment. And that's what these football coaches are doing. It's what makes content. It's what makes content.
I mean, doing radio sideline reporting, talking to these coaches, man, when I talk to the head coach, the away head coach, I'm not going to name drop any teams. Dude, that coach was fired up. It was tied at halftime, right? And he's like, "Are you interviewing me?" Pumped up because they were underdogs in the game. I mean, they ended up losing, but they were tied at halftime. They were playing really successful. And he's like, he seemed pissed. And I hear the guys upstairs telling me, he's got to wave off him, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, dude, I almost wanted to start laughing. And the other coach, he was pissed. So the character really shows at all levels of football. So
the heat of the moment, man, catching that on camera, catching that.
Dude, but you want to know who the most chill? You want to know who the most chill dude is, and this is a great segue into the next segment.
Sark?
Steve Sark, yeah, Sark is the best. He is I love Sark, and I like this Texas team. I know that they only won by 3, and they arguably could have lost, but my opinion hasn't changed on this team, man. They have a backup.
This team is playing right without their guy, without their glue. Quinn Ewers means more to this team, I think, than most people gave him credit for, and they're seeing it now.
You want to hear my crazy comparison? This is a different sports comparison about Malik Murphy.
Ooh. Wait, I think I heard this.
J.R. Smith, because Malik Murphy, when he played really good in the first quarter, everyone's like, "Oh my God, Malik Murphy! This kid's gonna be good. This kid's gonna be the truth. He's the future, right?" Mm-hmm. And then as soon as he started playing bad, everyone started talking smack about him. Everyone's like, "Yeah, they need Quinn Ewers back." Which I agree with, because Quinn Ewers is at this time right now is better than Malik Murphy. But I mean, he's also a freshman. What do you expect? But no, in all seriousness, I think that's a really good comparison. Kind of a microwave type of guy. That's how I feel about him.
I love that analogy. That's great. That's
Yeah, no, like
I can't think of a better one. That's a great analogy.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of
I
anyone.
love
I mean,
it.
you could say like another college quarterback like Jack Plummer, but like no one wants to hear that.
No, that's not juicy, man.
Yeah,
J.R. Smith's a
JR,
polarizing
yeah,
character.
dude. If you guys have any love for the game of basketball, watch J.R. Smith highlights, man. Dude, like I forget he was a freak athlete before he
Oh
joined the
my
Cavs,
gosh.
like doing 360 alley oops and crap,
Also,
man.
if you're a fan of the game of basketball, I believe I'm gonna say the name, and I might be wrong on who it is that talks about it, but I believe it's Amon Shumpert who tells some of the
Oh
greatest
yeah, no,
tales. It's
Amon
Amon,
Shumpert. Yeah,
yes,
it's Amon's
like his
great.
Kobe story in the Garden.
Oh my God, why
He's
is
got
Michigan?
Jordan stories. He's got.
All right. I gotta turn on this Michigan State game real quick, but keep going because apparently we're down by 4, and I mean I'm still obviously gonna have my full and undivided attention on this podcast.
But yeah, man, Amon Shumpert, if you're a fan of the game of basketball and you haven't listened to any Amon Shumpert interviews about what his time was like in the NBA, he has great J.R. Smith stories. He's got just
Dude, Gilbert
unbelievable stuff.
Arenas is another one of those guys. Ron Artest, when you listen to them talk,
Yeah.
a lot. Paul George has a pretty good podcast too. I like listening to Paul George talk. Jeff Teague is another guy. Like if you listen to some of his stories, all of these guys, man.
Right.
Like that.
We're gonna come back one day on this podcast if this thing does not continue over the next 10 years. We're gonna come back and we're not gonna have the perspective of the athletes that they did. But when me and Noah are on national broadcast calling games, we're going to have this unbelievable perspective as well. Like Joel and Gus can tell the great stories about being at the Michigan-Ohio State games, just the great rivalries they've called. We're going to one day have that perspective for you. So if you're still listening and you see us one day on national television,
we're going to be so successful with this thing, Robbie. We're not even going to need to do all of that.
That's what I'm saying. We're going to come back. This thing is going to eventually develop.
We're just going to be able to go, have a couple beers at the woodshed and be able to just sit on the sidelines, come back here, on a Monday watching all the other games, in a nice, comfortable
it's the lifestyle we are building right now. Yeah, stay tuned. If you haven't bought the stock now, buy it.
Buy it. Yeah. I mean,
this is the lowest it'll be. It's only going up from here, baby.
Jeez. I don't know what's happening with Michigan State, dude. This actually pisses me off so bad. They're down 2.
Let's just talk about this right now. This is not a college basketball podcast, and it might turn into one. Yeah. We don't know about that. Stay tuned for that as well. But if the Spartans basketball season fails, I truly think the entire university just plummets into the ground. Never see it again.
They should just fall to FCS in football, join the Horizon League,
Wright State versus Michigan State, ladies and gentlemen. We got a rivalry matchup for you.
Hey, no, Raider up, bro. Come on.
Raider up.
Yeah, I like Wright State, man. My best friend's parents went there, so.
Right. Shout out to the Wright State Raiders and all the Wright State Raiders listening to this.
Shout out Wright State. You know what? If you need me and Robbie to come call a basketball game or do some sort of sporting event,
there you go.
Reach out. Yeah, exactly.
There we go.
Gotta always have a positive spin on something.
Plug.
All right. Anyways, okay, where were we on this? This has been a very distracting podcast today.
We were talking about J.R. Smith's comparison.
Oh yeah, J.R. Smith
to Malik Murphy, and then I don't know how we Shumpert train, and then Michigan State by 4, and next thing you know, we're plugging
J.R. Smith equals Wright State. Okay. Anyway, no, but seriously, I think Texas's defensive line is seriously, it might be up for consideration of the best in the country. I think that's one of my biggest best takeaways. I think the offensive line honestly played really good in this game too. They didn't allow Kansas State to get much havoc or get much tackles for loss. They were able to slow down the run game a little bit, but Jonathan Brooks also got banged up too. And they just knew Malik Murphy was not having a good game, and they were able to design better run fits. But I thought Texas should have won this game by 10, man. When I look at it, if they have Quinn Ewers, I think they take care of this game in the first half, and I end up not even having it on. But I shouldn't have even had it on to begin with. They were up 17-0, and then all of a sudden, Kansas State coming marching back, and then honestly, I watched the whole game in its entirety. So
Kansas State's a good football team. It's a respectable team to lose to by 3.
And Chris Kleiman is one of the best coaches in the damn game, dude. This guy, he could take a bigger job and be successful, but honestly, he's starting to build a reputation at Kansas State. This team won a Big 12 championship last year. This team, once again, like, pretty successful. Like, I mean, you're 6-3 on the year. You lose to a big time school in Texas. Like, you can build, especially with the Pac-12 or not Pac-12. That's not going to be a conference anymore. The Big 12, weakening a little bit in terms of the top tier talent, but you're getting more teams from the Pac-12. Actually, there we go. Because once again, not going to be a conference. Which I'm excited to see what happens with Washington State and Oregon State because, I think both of them are programs that, it could be successful in like a Big
Their
12.
stock is trending upwards, in my opinion. And
I don't know about Washington State, man. They've been playing like piss lately, but
Cam Ward is a promising
oh
talent.
yeah, but he's not going to be there next year.
Yes, but it's the fact that he performed.
Washington State's Washington State, like, they have their ups and downs. It's a very stocky team. Yeah, that's kind of a good way to look at it.
There you go. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, we love making just different references throughout the show. But no, I was excited to see CJ Baxter have success, dude. That was one thing. Adonai Mitchell is one of the biggest, like the fact that he's able to stay healthy and have a really good season this year. Like, this kid's uber talented, like all across the board. I was very happy to see that.
This is a kid that's a dark horse. Not a Blinkatoff guy because I just feel like the names are so much bigger. This is a dark horse guy that could come out of this wide receiver class that's going to be so loaded in this next upcoming draft and be the best guy, pro.
Not to bring up a recent result, but George Pickens wasn't on the map at Georgia really at all.
Right. And George Pickens more not on the map because of the injuries, but also, like the fact that he never really had a quarterback that could utilize him the correct way, even though he still doesn't, and yet he's putting up numbers that are just.
Well, yeah, and he just makes ridiculous highlights too.
He's a freak athlete, and I think that's
he's one of the best personalities too, just in terms of how he is. So. But
there's the level of cockiness in sports that, yes, it seems arrogant, but is also extremely entertaining and that I can tolerate. Dude, George Pickens,
entertainment matters. Like, if the reason why I don't really like the NFL too much is because the entertainment's almost like stupid. Like, it's kind of like, when there's TV, like when you watch a TV show, right? And you fall in love with it at first because it's very good. It's very, organic. And then you start seeing these whack ideas, I guess, if you wanted to say, these out of the box, but they're not good, ideas.
Right. And just trying to one up each episode or one up a season. Like, hey,
we
killed
too it. Much drama and just too much to the plot. I feel like that's how I feel. It
becomes unrelatable because you're just like, how in the world would this actually happen? Yeah. And it's just
that's how I feel about the NFL. But
yeah, I would agree with that. It's unrelatable. It's not even it's just
reality TV. That's what that's
a perfect way to describe it.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, obviously, players still have to play on the field, and and maybe it's scripted. Maybe Vince McMahon's really behind the whole NFL operation. Roger Goodell is just a puppet, but
Can we agree that Roger Goodell is the most hated commissioner in sports?
Yeah, but I honestly don't mind Roger, to be honest. He's not my.
Right, I'm actually a less fan of Rob Manfred than I am of.
Is that the MLB?
Yeah, that guy's a joke.
Yeah, but I don't know. Adam Silver's starting to build a bad reputation too. So
yeah, because he's kind of deteriorating a product that is. The NBA, man, has so much potential to be just the greatest sports league in America, but they just aren't because maybe it is because Adam Silver.
But it's bigger than the commissioners, though.
Absolutely, the commissioners help, but yeah.
I mean, it's
there's
just
a lot of other things.
It's just like any body of government that's democratic or those sides of government. Yeah, very everyone's included. If you have involvement in it, so and that's kind of how it's supposed to be. It's committee. It's not just one guy. It's not dictatorship. Anyways, okay, we are completely off topic here. We are
welcome to the Engage podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Just another episode where we get off track.
Yeah, but I mean, we still talk about relevant things.
We hit the points.
But no, honestly, Kansas State, Texas was a good. It was a good game, but I don't think Kansas State really belonged on the same field with Texas, and they got lucky. They got lucky that Malik Murphy started his second game in his career, and he slowed down. So,
right.
But shout out Donnie Mitchell. Shout out Texas defensive line.
This
shout
is just
out,
another case. So
shout out Walker Howard had what? He had like 8 yards of passing for like the first, I want to say, like 25 minutes of the game. And then he explodes for 327 with 4 touchdowns. Like Walker Howard, I said this once, I'll say it again. He is what Kyle McCord is supposed to be. And if he had the receivers that Kyle McCord had, Ohio State would be the number 1 team in the country, probably. Or, I mean, they technically are, but I'm assuming tomorrow, like,
they'd be the undisputed number 1 team in the country.
Yeah, like unanimous in the AP, all these things. Because guess what? He's fucking good. And Kyle McCord is not. Okay?
No.
So,
and I mean, the last thing I will say about this game is I just talked about how important it was for Alabama to survive in advance. That's exactly the mindset that Texas has right now.
And Texas has the advantage on Alabama because they have the head-to-head win.
Right, but yeah, they just need to survive in advance until they get their guy back, and I believe they will. I think this game was proof of that. It's going to be ugly, man.
But like, who do they play next? Like Kansas State, like is a really really good team. Like they're going to give you. They got Louisville vibes, man. They're gonna give you trouble. They play TCU next, so maybe you don't need
No, but once again, it's just without a guy who's unproven and unpolished and without experience.
Well, you're also it's not like they started out the season with him too. Like you're throwing him in a situation.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
He's not a rocket scientist like someone that gets thrown into a situation.
I'm just saying that those games that would be 50-point wins, like if Quinn Ewers is playing in there, the fact that Malik Murphy's there, you can expect maybe a little bit of hiccups and a little bit of a more interesting football game than you would get if number 3 was behind the helm.
I don't think you got my rocket scientist reference.
I don't think I did.
Josh Dobbs.
Oh, dude. That guy, man. Want to talk about just unbelievable stuff on a football field? That guy's the definition of it right now.
Dude, he
didn't even know the guy's names. He's literally
he played at Tennessee. Yeah, he played at Tennessee. That's all I knew about him, to be honest. And
then he had alopecia, which is also just adds to his unbelievable storyline.
Yeah,
shout out to that guy, Josh.
Yeah.
Shout out to Josh.
Continue on with these games so we don't have a 2-hour-long episode with me and Robby's fun rambling. Washington, USC, what did you think of this game?
I want to just give credit where credit is due. For Caleb Williams to have the last 3 weeks that he's had, arguably probably the worst football he's played in his entire career.
Since he when he was him and Spencer Rattler were kind of having a QB battle on the field in the game and not in practice.
Yeah. It's for this kid to go up in a game where they're already ruled out. Like everyone in the national media didn't even give USC a chance, and rightfully so, because they really didn't deserve it. And that's not Caleb Williams' fault. And neither are the last 3 games. And we've seen that evidence because their defense absolutely sucks. Now, he balled. He balled to the best of his ability, man.
Caleb Williams did everything. Like his defense was not giving up stops, and apparently Washington has a run game now, so that's cool to see. But
that's just you don't know if it's actually established or that just proves how bad this defense is.
I mean, with Alex Grinch this season, they were in the 120s in total offense and points allowed. Like that, if you didn't know, I'm pretty sure there's 133 teams in the FBS, and USC like. That's just crazy to me. Like that is absolutely just ridiculous. You're a national brand and you just play this soft style. You don't get run fits at all. Washington just made it more proven that you don't. In Washington, Dylan Johnson, I'm pretty sure, didn't have over 100 yards rushing in a game this season.
He was approaching 300 and had 4 tutties.
Yeah, he was averaging an absurd amount of yards per carry. Like that is just ridiculous. Like I mean, I knew I only know who Dylan Johnson was in this Washington running back room because covered him, right? But I mean, this USC team, man, like they got a lot I mean, their season's over now, right? I mean, obviously they're going to play in a bowl game, and you want to finish out strong with Caleb Williams, and that kid should never think about coming back to the game of college football. Not with this team. If he wants to go transfer to Louisville,
Oh, dude.
no. If you want to go to Louisville and win a national championship and shit,
This guy just wants that. He just literally wants the ability to say, I was here on this bandwagon before any of you homeboy losers got here.
Yeah.
And sure, if you want to transfer to Louisville, Caleb Williams, you better buy Noah's season ticket so he can sit there and freaking I'm not going to say
because that means Lincoln Riley would probably follow it. I'm not down for all of that. So
yeah, no, I'm good. But
Jeff Brom, okay. I get into Louisville talk later. I'm not in the Louisville. I'm not in the.
You can talk Louisville like I can talk.
Dude, I have so
every
much
other reference goes there.
Other than I'm pissed about one thing, but we'll get into that too.
Anyways, Michael Penix, I'm starting to wonder, does the kid have a turnover problem? How many interceptions he's thrown in the last 4 games?
Too many.
And that's not to discredit the fact that he also put up great numbers.
Yeah, but if you want, he's going to have turnovers with how he plays. That is just how that offense is designed. Your quarterback's going to have turnovers. The amount of volume he has as a passer and the amount of contested balls and, deep shots and the less accurate. It's like when you take 3-pointers and you have a high usage percentage in basketball, right? Yeah. Wow. Look at me making another basketball reference. Crazy.
I'll make you a baseball reference. The longer you're going to play or the more home runs you're going to hit, it usually correlates to the fact that you are striking out more, which is not a good thing in baseball. But
yeah, I mean, it's just going to happen. No one's perfect.
It is going to happen, but I worry about it because we've seen the impact they make.
My thing that I'm concerned about is that we haven't obviously, yes, we saw the run game, but I don't think that's going to be repeatable whatsoever. I think it was just literally USC's run fits. I think a high school varsity team could average 4 yards per carry against them. Okay. An average, seriously.
That happened. I actually cried.
Dude, I don't know, man. I don't know if they're capable.
Belleville would run for 3 yards a carry. I mean, that'd be hilarious. Modern day runs for 4 yards.
Yeah. I mean, modern day might have a better defense than you. No, I'm kidding. Dude, people that actually think like that, absolutely
crazy, dude. You are absolutely out of your mind. And if you also think that a team like Georgia, if you think the 2019 LSU Tigers would beat any NFL team, you could put them against the 0-16 Detroit Lions. I promise you the Lions would run circles around that team.
There's just a different development and a different style and different speed of game when you play at each level. If you played football at multiple levels, even when you play freshman varsity and or freshman JV and varsity. Wow, I just went out of order. If you're going from varsity to JV, then you have huge problems. But
not to demoralize any of you high school athletes out there watching this podcast. If that has recently happened, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but we're out.
Don't hate.
Enjoy the podcast because we'd love to.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I mean, it's just a different speed at every level, man, that you play at, and that's something that's noticeable. And when people say that, and I mean, that's any sport, right? When you go. Robby, you could probably attest to this. When you go from high school baseball to college baseball, it's a different.
It's the most humbling experience I've ever had.
Yeah, it's just you just realize that oh shit, you're not as good as you thought you were, unless you're Caleb.
Besides watching Donovan Edwards run past you while you're standing on the sideline of a varsity football game, then you're like, okay, that guy, he's not the same age. No,
or when Bryce Underwood is throwing. Making your corner that played pretty good throughout this season just looking burnt toast. So
at 14 years old winning a state championship. Okay, that kid can't even drive a car. What was I doing at 14? Yeah, I was probably sitting on my.
I was playing Fortnite personally.
Exactly, man. And this kid's winning state titles, getting calls from Nick Saban.
Yeah. Wow, I can't believe we said that in unison. Anyways, Hawaii.
Just look at the telepathy, man. Look at the telepathy.
If you need anyone to call games, man, around the local area, hit us up, man. We'd be more than happy to. I think we'd bring.
It hasn't happened yet, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. We have not had a co-call on a game.
Not yet.
I'm telling you, when it does, It'll be all over the Engage 8 socials because it'll be one thing you need to look out for.
Yeah, it'll be one of the most entertaining things you've ever listened to. Not only do we provide pretty good insight on things, but we're also, not to toot my own horn or inflate my own ego, but we're pretty. I say we bring a nice, not like comedic approach, but a nice like
balanced approach.
Yeah.
There's gonna be comedy. There's gonna be comedy, but
Yeah,
there's also gonna be
what does Lincoln Riley know about that? Like,
right, yeah. It'll be the most entertaining high school football broadcast you've ever watched.
Yeah, I think state champs, man. You should listen. We should send some stuff out to his guys. Anyways, no. But last thing to talk about this game. I mean, Washington's defense concerns me. It really does. Obviously, yes, Caleb Williams in that offense, really good. But like, you've watched them play in the I mean, Arizona State's like arguably one of the worst Power 5 offenses. Like, I'm pretty sure like Michigan State and like Iowa are worse than them. And when it comes to points, and then it's Arizona State. When you watch them play Stanford, which Stanford, I don't know, they just have been drinking like the Kool-Aid of like, oh, we're gonna overperform the shit because we beat Colorado and they're a really good football team. And then Oregon, which I mean, I think that's when they played their best defensive game probably this year in terms of like important stops and everything and being in a close matchup. And then now this game, man, like I don't know how confident I am if they're going to put up stops against Bo Nix again. Because one, Oregon has the film on them, right? And two, it's going to be a neutral site game. So I'm excited to see what happens because Washington really, their defense concerns me. I like the forced fumble by Tulupi Fatui or whatever his name is, the kid from Hawaii on the edge. Like you've heard me mention his name multiple times now this year, right? And now makes a big play in a big game. Like, congrats to him, man. I don't know. I thought this was just the most entertaining game of the day.
Most entertaining game of the day. That's actually, I would agree. In terms of high-powered offenses, two kids that are just going to be
like there's star power.
This is going to be a matchup that we see on Sundays. I promise you that. These two kids are some of the most elite college football quarterbacks we've seen in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
They are just an absolute ball of fire waiting to explode.
All right, we haven't even got to the AP Top 25, and we still have one more game to talk about, just very briefly, because talking about Kyle, Honda, Accord, Ohio State, they got the victory, right? I watched this game. The first half was very concerning, and TreVeyon Henderson deserves all the credit in the world. If you were ever talking crap about this kid, please just shut up, okay? Not a very good offensive line. The receiving game really, or the passing game really wasn't, that good. And he still was able to have all the success. And the reason why this Ohio State team had a bigger margin than what it could have been. And I still think I don't think the score tells the full story in this game. I mean, I don't know. Once they got that pick six from that nickel corner, God, I forget, Hancock, I think that was a big part in the game. I saw Eichenberg went down, which, I mean, this Ohio State defense already has injuries. And Eichenberg.
Yeah, but we've talked about that. That could be a very good thing for the Ohio State defense.
Oh, yeah.
There's somebody waiting in the reins.
Yes, the Engage player that we're saying, like, when people are like free take hay or like free blah, 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 when someone gets arrested.
Free CJ Hicks.
Yeah, like that is, and I mean, that's been a trend in the Ohio State community, but the Engage fellows are with you, man. We are with
you, man. And if you transfer out, we are going to be following you wherever you go, and then we're going to be telling everyone,
hey,
we told you so.
When Urban goes to Michigan State, man, and he's in it. He's in the green and white.
Jesus, this freaking guy, man.
It would be funny. It'd be actually, it'd actually be really hilarious if he transferred to Michigan because
that's not happening. He's a Buckeye, man. There's two schools Michigan will never see transfers from, and you'll never see kids jump from anywhere. If you see a Michigan guy go to Ohio State or an Ohio State guy go to Michigan,
hey, I'm just saying, entertainment.
I'd love to know the number of how many kids that have gone between those schools.
I don't know. There's been coaches, Schembechler.
Shut
But
Who
no,
knows?
honestly, I would love to see CJ Hicks. I think he'd be actually very successful in the Michigan defense. That's why I'm saying, like, to not only to be a really good football player, but as long as Michigan doesn't get like severely punished, which I don't know what's going to happen with the situation anymore because
Every single day, man, it's something new. Today,
the
it looks
narrative
like they're not
changes
getting to.
every day.
Tomorrow, they could literally Harbaugh could be in jail for all I know.
Yeah, free Jim Harbaugh. Kidding. That probably wouldn't trend because people hate that guy. So,
They hate
but
the
no,
world of college football hates that man.
no. I thought Ohio State. I was very. I mean, I know Emeka Ibuka is coming off an injury, but it was concerning that Marvin Harrison was not able to be dominant.
It's actually weirdly concerning too that Rutgers has done this 2 years in a row, where Marvin Harrison's arguably played his worst game.
Michigan, what are you doing? Steal the signs from Rutgers, man. They obviously know what they're doing.
Right.
Connor Stallions, man. I know you're fired, but you could give an anonymous
He's
tip.
still doing the work, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know it. The guy's he's writing manifestos.
Dude, even if he wasn't giving it to the Michigan football staff, he's probably still doing it anyway because he's a freaking psycho.
Dion, man, you want to make a bowl game? Hire that guy.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're thinking about getting these transfer kids, got to boot it. No, Connor Stallions, the answer, Dion.
Yeah, I mean, you want to switch your offensive coordinators and everything? Why not give him
Connor Stallions?
Dude, it pisses me off that Sean Lewis was not the offensive coordinator to start that game for Colorado. So, but yeah, anyways, not too much thoughts on this Ohio State Rutgers game. And this has honestly been a very unfocused podcast. And, thoughts have been everywhere. But this game, Ohio State, that game in Ann Arbor is going to be very, 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 very interesting to watch.
The reason why it's also going to be very interesting to watch is because I feel like we're going to see the same reaction that Purdue gave to Michigan being alleged cheaters. And there was a lot of dirty hits in that Purdue game. There was very high emotions. And with the next two matchups in the next 3 weeks with Ohio State and Penn State, you're only going to see those emotions fly even higher. And I would not be surprised if there's at least one ejection between the two of those games.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Maybe we'll have a Kayvon Pope moment, too.
Is Kayvon Pope the guy who double birded the big house?
No, he's the guy that this is actually something completely unrelated. He took off his pad. He had an Antonio Brown. Why did I almost say AJ Brown? Where he took off his shoulder pads and left the game in the second quarter. You don't know about this?
This is a Michigan Ohio State moment.
No. This is just an Ohio State. It was a random ass game. Like they were playing some group of 5 team, but he wasn't playing, and he was like a 3 or 4 year guy.
You know who else did that? That did it before Antonio that nobody talks about is LeGarrette Blount.
Oh yeah,
he's left mid game and flew to Boston. Flew to Massachusetts.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, dude, that was a crazy. And then, dude, LeGarrette Blount went off that year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I thought
if you need help,
you know about the double bird moment though, right? When I don't know the name, but the kid gets ejected out of the game. I think it was like 2013, 2014 time.
I was
just let it.
That's kind of when I got introduced to college football, and the national networks at the time really censored explicit content on their broadcast, so it's probably why I don't know about it. I'll definitely have to look it up. But
it's a good one.
All right, AP top 25 reactions, Robby. What do you take away from these as we're getting into the college football playoff rankings, which hopefully is a way more organized episode, guys? We did not mean to be like all over the place, but me and Robby just, we have different insight on things, and then we get sidetracked to talk about even more great things that are not associated or kind of associated, but not relevant to the topic we're talking about.
Absolutely. We just love this stuff, man. This is what we consumed so much of. Like when I say we're obsessed, I truly mean.
But if you
obsessed.
listen to most like any other podcast with like multiple people on it, or having a conversation, like people get off topic all the time.
Absolutely, it happens.
That's the world of podcasting, man.
Exactly. So my reactions are this: amen to the fact that USC is finally off this list. Like hallelujah to that. But if you're gonna knock USC off, how about you take Notre Dame with them? Why are they still on here? Couldn't tell you. They dropped 10 spots
because they have a good Duke win, man. That's not ranked, and then they have a great loss to Ohio State and a great USC win.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous is an understatement. Oklahoma State going from unranked to 15. So deserved. Love to see that.
They should have been on there in the first place, man. Sorry.
Yep. Yeah. And then, LSU is another team that I don't understand how is still inside the top 20. Do I think this team deserves to stay ranked as a 3-loss team? Yes, I think they're the only one that deserves it. But they need to be outside of the top 20 because I think you're discrediting teams that deserve to be inside it.
You got to remember, the AP poll doesn't watch football.
Oh, the AP poll doesn't watch football. You are correct, sir. We will see the actual true top 25 tomorrow in the college football playoff rankings.
Maybe.
I think it's going to be closer. I think it's going to be more well analyzed. Other than that, I kind of don't have anything to,
I'm so happy Arizona's ranked. Like, can we give a round of applause? Like,
Noah Fafita, you're a dog.
I mean,
you probably, if anyone listens to me and likes to take that stuff to, the world of sports betting, my confidence, me and Noah's confidence in you, Mr. Noah Fafita, probably just won some people a lot of money.
Yeah. And, I mean, I don't know. Maybe take betting advice from me. Maybe don't. Only player props, though, if any federal agents are listening. But anyways, I guess I don't know who I am. What are you going to do to me? Anyways, no, I mean, I'm kind of – I don't really got too much to say. I don't know why Washington's below Florida State. Florida State, I get it. They didn't have Johnny Wilson. They didn't have Keon Coleman.
Because
obvious.
The AP top 25 doesn't like to make controversial decisions when it comes to those top 4 just precious teams, Noah. They can't make a controversial. Florida State hasn't lost.
Oh, year.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I want to see Oregon potentially ranked over one of these undefeated teams, and it would be probably Florida State.
No. You, in order to do that, you have to press the on button of the controller on the TV and tune into a game live to actually get the true eye test that, hey, maybe Bo Nix is the best quarterback in the country. Maybe Dan Lanning is one of the best coaches in college football. And maybe, just maybe, Oregon is one of the best teams, if not arguably the best team in college football.
That sounds like too much work. You get paid to do it. That sounds too much work. No, I mean, Penn State.
I'll never get a job with the Associated Press if they ever see this.
Yeah. It's all right, man. Put us on the playoff committee.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll take Ward's spot this week while he can't show up. Put us on the CBS
133. Like, put us on these different rankings or these different sites. Like, AP top 25 is irrelevant.
Maybe next year, maybe next season, we're just going to create our own top 25 every single week.
Yeah, maybe we're just going to find a bunch of randoms, random sickos that love the game and watch.
Yeah, we're going to hire our own committee, gosh darn it.
Yeah. And then
Justin Pollington, you are going to be one of those guys because you just have great takes.
I don't know if he's really reliable.
That's what I'm saying. But it's just like, it's about the same equivalence as the Associated Press, in my opinion.
I mean,
they probably watch just as much college football.
No, he watches Michigan very heavily.
He does.
Yeah, no. I mean, Penn State at 9, like, I get it. They actually did have a really good game this weekend. Like, shout out to Drew Aller. You finally look good against offensively, but how good is Maryland? I don't know. That's just whatever. I mean,
we will see in Happy Valley this week.
Yeah, we will. I'm happy that Louisville's at 11. Could they be over Ole Miss? I don't know, because that Notre Dame win looks worse. So Duke looks worse.
It's just cool to see 2 teams, guys. If you haven't been following this thing since the beginning of this season, 2 teams me and Noah highlighted.
And Oregon State at 12, man. Like we said, they were going to be pretty good this year too.
Those were the 3 teams that we talked about the most before they were proven: Ole Miss, Louisville, and Oregon State. Yeah. And they are right neck and neck with each other in the middle of the pack on this top 25 list. So if you don't think we know anything, and you think we're just, covering stuff that's just now happening and, now hopping on the bandwagons.
We were here, man. We were here.
We've been here.
We were with the stock. And our stocks, if we were investing,
we're getting rich, man. Call us Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah.
We have a little insider information.
Yeah. Anyways, no, like this is something that like Robby, like we talked a lot about, and we've referenced a lot throughout the podcast, which is the reason why we talk about these teams like so specifically. Because if you listen to like a national brand, no discredit to Joel Klatt, because I love the show, but he's not talking about these teams as much as like us or like other people that
Right. We
really
gotta
get
find
in
our
depth.
niche, and this is our niche.
Yeah. I mean, all great, successful football teams. Louisville, 1 win away from conference championship. Like,
And
you know
one
what?
win
All
away
right.
from Noah
Okay.
officially being a
Yeah.
prophet. And
Yeah.
here, speaking of prophetic words, Noah, roll the clip.
And who do you think is a conference dark horse? Like, who do you think's capable of winning their conference championship? Or at least compete, making it to that point. I have two.
Yeah, you've got a big one. And
so my first one is Louisville.
rip it. Yes, sir.
I think Louisville's got enough offensive weapons coming in with Jack Plummer, who I mean, throwing the ball wise is better than Malik Cunningham. I think Jeff Brown's a very good offensive mind. You've seen the work that he's been able to put in Purdue. You've been able to see some of the guys he's been able to put in the NFL and have very high producing stats of. I mean, Charlie Jones, Rondale Moore, David Bell. Like, those are all three guys that have been able to succeed in the Jeff Brown system. I mean, Louisville's just as good as getting recruits as Purdue. I mean, ACC, Big Ten, like, they're both middle of the pack. I mean, Louisville's had very good success at some points with Teddy Bridgewater, Lamar Jackson, those guys. But I think this is a Louisville team that they could sneak in and get in there. Their schedule's not like
bold take.
the schedule's not that hard. Like,
was it that bold, Robbie? Was
No,
it?
it wasn't, man.
Was it? No,
It was not that bold.
Honestly, when I looked at
I
was like, dude, I gotta put this on, bro. And look at the better display, by the way. Like, we're an evolving brand. Like, buy stock in us, like we said. We're getting back. We're getting better and better.
Man.
But no, when watching that back, I'm like, holy shit! Why was I like actually so dead on? Like, you know,
this kid's a prophet, man. It's on my Twitter. It's on everything. The kid's a prophet.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like, seriously, this team's 1 win away, and I hope I don't curse them. And I said this to Robbie. I'm like, man, do I put it on the podcast this week or do I wait a week when they go but they play Virginia?
I told you so.
And if they lose to Virginia, then they don't deserve to make the ACC championship, like North Carolina. Anyways, no, I mean, it would take for them a lot, and I think they're going to beat both of the next ACC opponents they have, because Miami looks like they're just a dying. They're on the wrong side now than where they were a few weeks ago.
Right. You look at Alabama, right? Team that gets hot at the right time. This team is getting cold at the wrong time.
Yeah, we see it all the time, and I mean, you just see it throughout sports in general.
Happens.
Michigan State still freaking competing. James Madison. I didn't know you were really good at basketball too. What the heck?
Hey. You know, buy stock in James Madison. It's just an episode of, we're just pumping stocks.
Yeah, this became a college day trading stock.
There we go. We need to get a little.
What's funny is the show that I listen to, they do a day trading Danny segment with Danny Cannell on the Cover 3, and that stuff's
Danny
actually.
Cannell, we might have to take that from
Yeah, we might have to,
just get him on.
Yeah. If we got Danny Cannell, bro, I would love to just have a conversation with him on it off air. So maybe we'll just pitch that. Maybe I'll put the clip out, tag him in it. People will share it.
You never know, man.
I mean, hey, if you
social media is a powerful place.
Yeah, if you don't throw it out there, you'll never know. Why is it 58 to 56 with 450 limits? Like, I have Jesus.
This is actually right here. You want to talk about another evolution of the cast? I think one of these days we just got to do a live reaction to us watching a football game, us watching a sports game.
Oh my God.
Because I truly think it would be more entertaining than you guys would even think. And yes, we know we're entertaining right now, giving our reactions 2 days later. If you could watch us actually watching the game.
Maybe we'll do a live stream Saturday night. I love that.
There we go. You want to talk about entertainment?
I don't know if I can do that, to be honest. I like my reputation. Anyways, no.
Anyways,
I'm a very, very, completely, when I'm completely,
in the right frame of mind.
Yeah, in the right frame of mind. When I get out of it, everyone does though. That's actually okay. This is not a college football podcast anymore. When people act like they do no wrong, like it's just to maintain their brand and reputation, right? Like when you're a big polarizing figure, dude, people make mistakes. People are not like I mean, I think this is just like my Christian beliefs coming in. And yes, I'm Christian, like whoop-de-doo, like, whatever. For people that are just like completely like whatever. I mean, believe in what you want to believe in, man. That's you. If you're born up differently, or if you learn differently, and that's not what you want to associate with, then that's great for you. But for me personally, like, you're not perfect. Like, everyone makes mistakes. Now, some mistakes are worse than others. Yes. And obviously, some things are just like, yeah, you shouldn't do. But like, people make mistakes all the time. Like, no person's going to tell you if you ask them a genuine question, or you are like looking to someone for advice, or they're giving you a life story. Like, if you listen to a lot of these people, no one's perfect, man. And it's just, yeah, it's something to just learn on sometimes too. So I think that's just something that really has to get pointed out. But anyways,
I think you become a more relatable, personable individual when you are willing to admit those mistakes.
Now, with that being said, do I want to do a live stream with at a specific location on Saturday night? No. But
no.
Anyways,
but if you want that, leave a comment.
Yeah.
Not necessarily Saturday night,
but like
when the time is right, and we feel that we could give you the most entertaining content possible without destroying reputation of either one of us, we will do it.
Yeah,
we will give that content.
Gosh, dude. Speaking, I can't watch that game anymore. I'm like briefly like looking at it, and it's just not making me a happy person. All right, ACC, Florida State, Louisville, probably gonna be the two teams looking to get a hunt in there. I think Georgia Tech's the most likely team at 4-2 in the conference. Then you also have Duke, North Carolina, Boston College, and NC State. Virginia Tech all at 3-2, all at 3-2. So that's interesting to see. Probably going to be, I think I'm sold on Florida State, Louisville, and this guy got it right. Just remember that. With Louisville, of course. Big 12, Texas, Oklahoma State. Probably going to be both teams as well, because Oklahoma State has the tiebreakers now over Kansas, Oklahoma, and Kansas State. But you still have Iowa State that could get in there too, but they won't have it. It would get really confusing if Oklahoma State lost another game. So hopefully that just doesn't happen, because I hate learning all the new tiebreaker rules for every specific individual conference.
Yeah, you and me both.
Yeah, so, just keep it Oklahoma State, man. Texas, be very happy people. The terms of the Big Ten, this one's interesting.
This one still is, I mean.
You want to know what happens if it's like theoretically comes down to a 3-way tie? I think I've talked to you about this. They look at
we lose is all I know is, and I refer to we as,
and that's what you get for playing a weak ass. No. Anyways, I mean, I don't know. It comes down to the opponent record of the Big Ten West teams. So
and we
take that for what it's worth.
Right, and Iowa ruins all of that.
Yeah, and there's a reason why you play an actual schedule. No, I'm just kidding. All right, I'll stop throwing Michigan State out there.
Yeah, because it's not even gonna matter, because they're gonna run Happy Valley and
run Ohio State, because they know all the plays.
We all know that.
All know the plays. And
no, because Ryan Day's soft.
No, and then
New Holtz is going to be there, and Ryan Day's going to panic.
And then they're going to play fucking Washington, and then they're going to realize, holy shit, what is a good passing attack against us? We don't know what to do. And no, okay. I'm trying to speak. I'm a LeVar Ball, man. I got to speak things into the future. Gotta love. I'm making so much basketball references today.
You really are, man.
All right, Pac-12. You think we're going to see the rematch between Washington and Oregon?
Man, I sure hope so, because there won't be anything more entertaining than that matchup. Unless Noah Fafita's in it.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Unless Noah Fafita's in it, and if this guy takes the Pac-12.
Yeah.
The Arizona Wildcats just retire the jersey then, because the kid ain't going to stay. They'll leave.
Or you got to give him a crazy NIL contract, which you would deserve it.
Yeah, because you'd put Arizona on the map. Yeah. I don't know if the prediction.
I don't know. I think honestly, I think Jed Fish takes a bigger job after this season. Like, he proves that. Like, Arizona, I hope if you follow college football for the past in recent years, Arizona's like been like a joke almost. Like, no one cares about them.
Both Arizona schools, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And then now Arizona is looking to be like just a good football team, and they look competent, and they have defense too. It's not like they just like they're a crazy offensive wagon like Washington State.
Taylor
Like
Upshot, the
yeah.
highlight, that kid is going crazy for them. They picked him up from the transfer portal. Justin Flo, he's going
Like Jed
really
Fish is going to get a bigger job, hopefully. And if he doesn't, if he stays at Arizona and they continue to be successful, great. But if he brings Fafita with him and puts him on a bigger stage, we'll see.
You got to think that's his guy. At least I hope they're a package deal.
Jed Fish with Mississippi State would be a really good job. When I'm looking at the SEC, of course, because Mississippi State, they got to make a decision eventually. So,
but yeah,
or Texas A&M,
and then the ACC. We already touched on, but I will touch on it again.
Okay, yeah.
It has to be so that the Engage 8 podcast can blow up. It has to be Louisville. I want it so bad. Yeah. I just want them to be in the game. I really don't care about the result after that, even though it'd be even cooler. But yeah, on to the SEC, the team that I projected to be in this game early on in the season, the Ole Miss Rebels. I hope it happens. I really do.
Yeah, but Alabama would have to lose 2 games for them to get in. Sadly.
Exactly. And I don't see that happening. But, with
Georgia, unless all hell breaks loose. Well, I mean, who does Alabama play to finish this season? And I'm sorry for, like, my voice cutting out. I've been, like, dealing with this sickness the past few days. Oh, no, they're not losing a game. Like, they play Kentucky, Chattanooga, and Auburn. They're not losing Kentucky and Auburn.
No, like I said, they survived and advanced. And then they got hot at the right time.
Oh, my God. That's the point that I was going to bring up when we were talking about Georgia and Alabama earlier in the SEC championship. Okay, so Auburn does a really good job, or what Auburn did against Georgia was a really good job of the quarterback run. Guess who's got a really good runner at quarterback and can utilize the run game with multiple running backs, the offensive line playing pretty well, and they have a defense that's going to be able to generate stops. Like, this might not be a good matchup for Georgia if it gets to if and probably when it gets to that point.
Like, I agree. It's crazy, man.
Like, it's gonna be. I mean, obviously, it'd be Georgia's hardest test. Okay, for people that are saying Georgia's frauds, they're playing a good stretch of games right now. Like these next
Carson
3 games,
Beck's getting hot, and he's getting into it. He's settling into college football, which is a scary thought. Yeah. This Georgia team is
going to be a first
coached by the guy.
He's going to be eventually a first-round pick, man.
Okay. Well,
hey, you thought I was crazy about Louisville. You thought I was crazy about Louisville.
Bro. You're a prophet. I hear you.
Yeah. I also thought. Okay. No. Story time. Story times with the big Drury. So I went to the first 4 last year. I've told Robby this at least like 3 times now because one of my proudest moments. Yep. And I was with one of my buddies, and I'm at the first 4 games, and Fairleigh Dickinson's playing Texas Southern, right? Texas Southern probably has the worst performance I've ever seen from a Division I basketball team in like a big moment. Like, I'm pretty sure they were shooting like 9% from 3 at one point and like 27% from the field. Like, absolutely awful. Like Julius Randle numbers, okay? And then, man, I'm killing it.
Basketball references, dude.
Dude,
and you think this guy likes college football?
I don't even know that. I mean, I fucking hate basketball right now because of what's happening on my screen. But Tyson Walker's at the line. Hopefully he drills the second 3 throw. And then I'll continue with my story, and he does. Okay, so they're up 3 with 2:50 left in the second half. All right, so in Dayton, watching this team play, I'm like, Fairleigh Dickinson's playing super, like, those like teams, like if you played, high school or AAU basketball, and there's those teams that press and play annoying defense and they're just pressuring you. You're like, that type of team, yeah, those will piss off good teams and you will catch them. I was like, this Fairleigh Dickinson press and the way they play, they could catch Purdue. Guess what happened? They caught them. So that's a pretty cool story. It's not just a one-time thing, man. Hey, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Just remember that.
Who said the quote?
Wayne Gretzky.
There we go.
Yeah.
At least he can quote his sources.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and I get him right.
It's a good story, though. This guy's a prophet. I'm going to say it till the day I die.
Yeah.
Kid's a prophet.
Robby, he'll reference the wrong things sometimes, but, Robby's the comeback kid, man. He is He is Tom Brady.
Oh man, don't reference my guy. For all of you that can't see, I have a shrine of the man. Oh brother.
Yeah,
That's Tom in the
you know,
Michigan
bronze
uniform.
sexual. You know what bronze sexuals are if you're in the basketball world. Robby is a Brady sexual.
And a Michigan sexual.
Very
Oh man, it's gonna turn into a JJ McCarthy one because I think that kid's gotta.
I love
got
how
the
you have to
ability.
add the moan with it too. All right, we gotta end this show because it is me and Robby.
If you stayed till the end, you're a freaking OG.
You
You're
better
a real
have been
one.
entertained, and obviously you were if you were that. So while you're here, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, follow our social medias individually, and the podcast social medias on Instagram, X, and TikTok. Please enjoy the rest of your night, day, whenever you're listening to this, because I mean, and not everyone listens to the podcast in the same location, which is the great variety. I know I don't. I'll listen to them right here in this very chair. I'll listen on the way to school, whatever I'm doing at the gym sometimes, getting sick pumping. Had a good back day today, by the way. But yeah, make sure leave a like, share it with a friend, share it with your mom, grandma, stepsister, all of it. Anyone that you can share it with might be entertained by us, whether it's our talk about how Malik Murphy's J.R. Smith or how Michigan's the biggest sign
How
stealing
Fairleigh
cheaters in the
Dickinson
West.
caught Purdue.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of variety. We could bring in all audiences.
You get it out of everything, man.
So, as the ticker says, thank you for listening, and we will see you on Wednesday.